Welcome to Dem Boyz, a podcast that is still watching the Super Bowl just for the commercials and maybe the halftime show. We're one Saints fan and one Cowboys fan, one fan of who dat and one fan of dat win. We're here to give weekly takes, game recaps, bad betting picks, game previews, and the occasional Seinfeld reference.
As we've done throughout this playoff season, we'd like to highlight one Saint and one Cowboy who won a Super Bowl with each team. So in that respect, this week our patron saint is cornerback Tracy Porter. Tracy Porter was drafted by the Saints, pick number 40 overall of the second round. Ironically, the Saints have the 40th pick in the upcoming NFL draft. This was in 2008 out of Indiana University. Tracy Porter spent his first 4 seasons with the Saints, making arguably the 2 biggest interceptions in franchise history. The first one against the Vikings in the NFC Championship game to force overtime, and a pick 6 against the Colts to seal the deal in Super Bowl 44. Porter would remain with the Saints until the end of the 2011 season. From there, he would play for the Broncos in 2012, the Raiders in 2013, the Washington football team in 2014, and his final 2 seasons, 2015 and 16, were with the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately for Porter and for Immaculate Grid fans, he was never selected to either the Pro Bowl or AP All-Pro teams. He did, however, finish his career with 13 career interceptions, 6 career forced fumbles, 3 career fumble recoveries, and 2.5 career sacks. And if I may, before Brandon takes over, here's my public appeal to the Immaculate Grid gods. Let's add a career interceptions or even a season interceptions like they do for sacks category to the grid.
Absolutely. So, all right, our patron Cowboy for this week is Chuck Howley. Howley was drafted 7th overall in 1958 out of West Virginia by the Chicago Bears. He played there for just 2 years before suffering what appeared to be a career-ending knee injury. He originally moved back to West Virginia and planned to retire, but following a West Virginia University alumni game, he decided to make a comeback. The Bears then traded him to the Cowboys, who were coming off their inaugural season, in which they went 0-11-1, for a pair of draft picks. He would go on to play 13 seasons with the Cowboys, playing in 2 Super Bowls, including the Super Bowl VI victory in 1971. He's also the only player in NFL history with this particular distinction. Paul, do you know what that is?
No. Why don't you just tell me what the distinction is?
He is the only player in NFL history to win Super Bowl MVP for the losing team, which he did in Super Bowl V against the Baltimore Colts. Never happened again.
Huh. How about that?
There's a fun fact for you. If you need a Super Bowl MVP, Chuck Howley will work.
There you
go. He ended up finishing his career with 26 sacks, 18 fumble recoveries, and 25 interceptions.
I'm Paul, the Saints fan.
I'm Brandon, the Cowboys fan.
We're your hosts. Izzy, tell them what time it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you live that. Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you live that.
Mr. Mandelbaum, please.
It's go time.
This one's for you, Pop. It's go time.
It's go time.
Ooh. You've been married 3 times.
That's it. It's go time. It's go time.
Izzy hit him with the remix this week.
He did. Record scratch.
All right. All right, a few housekeeping items here. If you want to contact the show, you can do so via email, blessdemboyz@gmail.com, BLESSDEMBOYZ@gmail.com. Still on Twitter. We're still waiting on you, LeBron and Coach Belichick. You know what? I forgot to reach out to Ben Solak this week. We'll try to get on that.
Maybe we can reach out to Nico Harrison in the meantime.
Maybe so. Yikes. We're at bless_dem_boys, capital B, capital D, capital B. You can follow myself. I'm at Paul Elliott _316, PAULELLIOTT. Brandon's at Ball from Grace. You can also find us on Blue Sky. We we have not posted there yet. I will not use the term that.
We have not skeeted.
Yeah, you said it, not me. I'm actually checking our.
We're masters
Net.
of our domain on Blue Sky.
Somebody followed us on Blue Sky. Shout out to Magical Clan.
It's not spelled with a K, is it?
No. This is it's a good question. But no, it's Magical. Looks like a source for Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all those good things. So shout out to those.
Sounds up your alley.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. Well, I may talk about some MCU stuff here in a minute. So shout out to them for giving us a follow on Blue Sky. You can also check us out. We're on Spotify and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. Appreciate all the feedback. Shout out to Yuri in Russia listening. You think they in Russia they listen on like a curb top radio, or how are they getting this? Do you think they got?
Yeah, something like one of those old stereos where you got to tune in with manual dials.
Yeah, they're like having to like the bunny ears and
moving the antenna.
Yeah. So, well, either way, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell random strangers on the street. Shout out to all the bots too that are following us on Twitter.
Tell your neighbor in Russia.
Then, or your comrade, as it were.
Tell your comrade.
All right. Get into all the excitement. Obviously, a big week this week with the Super Bowl. But before we do that, we here at Bless Dem Boys do pride ourselves on being able to talk about other things.
But enough about fish. I can discuss other things, you know.
All right, Brandon. What shenanigans did you get up to this week?
All right, so I did. So this weekend we went to it's a Lunar New Year, so we went to a local library, saw the lion dance, did that, and then we went to like this like local. I want to say it's like called Bubba's 31 or something.
Oh, Bubba's 33.
Bubba's 33. Yeah, so we went out there because it was
close
close
to
to
my
the
house.
Yeah, so we were trying to go to this place called Piata, which is like an Italian street food restaurant. It's popping up everywhere, but they haven't opened yet. Or the ones that were on the way to us have not opened yet.
You were right by my house, I think. Not to give away where my. Yeah, if you were where I'm thinking, you were.
By a Chipotle and a Mod Pizza as well.
Yep. By Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A and
Yep.
What was I can't remember the name of the library that we went to. Do you know the library that's near there?
No. Is it in? Is
okay.
Is it?
It was
like
very close to there.
West or?
It was just off of 99. I want to say.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like
so we
went past the Shipleys, and the.
I don't remember seeing. I'm sure there's Shipleys everywhere. Everything's past the Shipleys in Houston, Paul.
Yeah. This episode of Houston Geography brought to you by. But anyway, nevertheless.
So we went there and we were we'd never been there before, but we were pleasantly surprised, especially with like their fried pickles were really good, very crispy. Yeah. One of the
you're talking about Bubba's. You're back on Bubba's now.
Back on Bubba's.
It's quite good. Quite good. I would highly. Apparently, they're somewhat national chain. When that particular one was going up, one of my coworkers at my previous job, she knew about it because she had been to one. I want to say in Colorado.
Oh,
so yeah, they're a big chain. They're kind of like Kenny Rogers Roasters, if you will.
Oh, well, we didn't have any. There was no nutria in our food.
Okay, well,
so we didn't find any rat hats in our food. So that was good. We actually had an enjoyable experience. So we did that on Saturday.
Can I real quick? You bring up that episode. I thought about this today. One of my low-key favorite, funniest lines in Seinfeld is from that episode when George walks in wearing that hat, that Russian hat.
Uh-huh.
And Jerry's sitting in the booth and he looks at him. He goes, "Why don't you get the big one?"
Yeah, I always love the.
That's
You
my
wouldn't
favorite.
eat you wouldn't eat broccoli if it was deep fried in chocolate sauce.
That's another. Yeah, that's another good one.
Vile weed. That's
Man.
one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, the chicken roaster. Yeah, I'd have
Chicken
to go back
roaster.
and look. It's. I think it's in my top 20 at least.
That'd make my
I don't
top
know.
10 probably. I would think.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Um, something
Sidetrack.
something that something that will not be making my top 10. I watched Wicked this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Um, it was so I thought I'm I've never seen the musical.
Does
I've
does
never
Frank
seen on Broadway.
does, does Frank have any any thoughts about it?
I think he might. Frank, what did you think?
Well, it sucks.
So,
That's what I thought.
so
Yeah.
let me preface this by saying I hadn't seen the musical, and I feel like a lot of people who love this movie are like big fans of the musical, like my wife being one of those. And so
Okay.
I went into this kind of thinking, if it's a movie, maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe it won't feel as much like a musical.
Right.
That's not the case. It
Yeah.
feels exactly like a musical, and it is very long. I got to the point where we got to the popular song, which
Okay. Yep.
I'm sure you've gotten that stuck in your head at some point if you've heard it.
So my youngest, so I my youngest got obsessed with the movie when it came out in theaters, even though she had never
Mhm.
seen Wizard of Oz. I guess she just came upon something on YouTube or whatever.
Of course.
So she now has like all the dolls. She has Glinda, Elphaba, Fiaro, the girl in the wheelchair. I can't remember her name. Sorry.
She has like a double name.
Yeah. So when she got the Glinda doll plays popular. Like if you push a
Ah,
button. So yeah. Now I was familiar with
remember,
Wicked.
let me say that I'm impressed that you're not in a mental hospital by this point.
Well, we're getting there. They took my belt, Jerry. Uh, so now I was familiar with the musical. So when I was in college, the musical had just kind of hit that cultural apex for it.
Phenomenon.
Like phenomenon. Like it was Adina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth, and I had
Adele
heard.
Dazeem.
Yes, her too. Um, I had heard the soundtrack. I had never actually seen the musical, but I had heard the soundtrack hundreds of times. And my wife, when the movie became available on Prime, my wife went ahead and bought it. So the other night, the girls were watching it, and I came into the room after watching. I think I had just finished watching the Senior Bowl or something, and it was the end of the movie, and I knew like defying. I think I came in right after Popular, and like
Mm,
so I was like, well, let me watch it, and I will say like the defying gravity parts, like the last what was that like 10 minutes of the movie, I thought was quite
uh-huh.
good, but I didn't watch the other 2 hours and 20 minutes
Yes.
or
Yeah,
whatever
so
it
we got
was.
to the popular song and I checked the time on the movie and we still had an hour left. And at that point that's the point where I realized I'm not gonna enjoy it. This is not gonna be a movie that I enjoy.
I've definitely done that with other movies. You like get to a certain point, and you're like, wait, what? We're only
How much
well,
more do I have of this? At that point, there's no saving it from that point. There's no magical formula that's going to make you say, like, all of a
right.
sudden, oh, I actually enjoyed this movie. Once you get to the point where we still have this much left, you're in a bad spot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so
It's
it wasn't for me. Something I did watch that I did enjoy was I went back and restarted uh, the X Files
okay.
on, I want to say Hulu. Um, I used to
Yeah, that
watch
sounds right. Yeah.
I used to watch the show, like I think it came on Sunday nights, um, and I would.
Yeah.
It was like a weekend night or
It
something.
it was definitely one of Fox's like big shows. Like
Yeah.
they would build around it. Like they would kind of
Hmm.
whatever night of the week it was like this is X Files night. kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't remember Sunday Night Football being a thing back then because I would like after whatever the Cowboys game was,
Ooh,
or
yeah, it's a
the
good
the
call.
rest of
Yeah,
the rest of the schedule was, I would go into my room and I would turn it on Fox and I would like watch that in the evening. So just started it from the beginning. I watched the first 2 episodes. I want to say I haven't got to episode 3, but I think Kenny Banya makes an appearance
that
in the
sounds
show
right.
at some point. I don't
I
remember. I
mean,
think it's
I
like one of the early episodes.
I
But I
know
haven't gotten to his part yet.
I know there's an episode because I want to say Vince Gilligan, who famously created Breaking Bad,
Mm-hmm.
worked on the X Files, and that's how he met Bryan Cranston, or that's how he
Mm,
became aware of Bryan Cranston, because Bryan Cranston was in an episode and he had to play this kind of seedy, surly character, and he's like, and he kind of filed that away for later when he was looking for Walter White. So,
mm.
so the
Yeah.
X
So,
Files indirectly gave us Breaking Bad, kind of
mm.
in
Yeah,
a way.
it's a good show. So I watched a little bit of that, and then the other thing that I watched or just caught the end of was last night's Stephen F. Austin, or was it last night or was it the night before?
It was yeah, it was.
Was
I
it
think it might have
Sunday?
been It might have been Sunday
Yeah,
night.
yeah. So I caught the half court shot that they had because
Yep.
they were up 3 in overtime. The team they were
Yep.
playing hit a three with like 2.5 seconds left. SFA gets the ball out of the inbound, and then the guy just heaves it from not even over the half court line, like doesn't even get past half court, and then heaves it up and hits the shot to at the buzzer to win
Yeah.
it. So
This
I did
was
see that.
this was against the UNO.
Mm.
Yeah,
Uno,
they won. Yeah, Uno. Yeah, exactly.
Maxim Jacks.
Axum Jacks, man. They so it's kind of disappointing. My both of my alma maters used to have really good basketball teams. Northwestern State. I may have talked about it on the we may when we gets closer to March. I may tell the story about my Northwestern State basketball memories. But yeah, Northwestern State had a really good team for a while, and then SFA had a good team. Won a tournament. Both of them won tournament games in the
Mm-hmm.
times that since I either was in school or
Yeah,
alums of the
I'll
school.
always cheer for them because because that's where my parents met. So
SFA.
we'll always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah, so my wife and I met at SFA, so that's kind of same thing.
So
Uh,
all right, Paul.
yeah.
I think that's it for me. What did you get up to this week?
So I watched two classic movies I had never seen before. One is Doctor Strangelove. I think we may have talked about it before on the show.
I
Maybe
think
you
so.
watched it, you revisited it. Yeah, it's as good as advertised. I mean, it's definitely an older movie. I was really impressed with Peter Sellers and him playing. I think he plays like 3 different characters in the movie.
Peter Sellers is the was he the Pink Panther?
So he plays the president.
Well, I'm talking about wasn't he
Oh,
in the
sorry.
Pink Panther movies? Like wasn't he Inspector Clouseau?
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
That's what
yeah.
he's most
Okay.
known for. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I think
yeah,
that's what we talked
and
that's what we talked about because I had been watching the cartoon
okay.
with the kids.
Yeah. So he in Doctor Strangelove he plays the president. He plays 2 other characters. He plays Doctor Strangelove himself. And it's a really wacky movie. George C. Scott is in it also. You may know George C. Scott from Patton. That's probably what he's most famous for. Then I watched another movie, The French Connection. This is probably best known for one of the better car chases in movie history. It stars Gene Hackman, and really good performance by Gene Hackman. Would highly recommend this one as well. And then I've been catching up on Silo. I talked about it last week. I'm trying to go through season 2. I guess I guess I'll lead this into something we alluded to earlier. So Saturday night I was watching Silo and I dozed off during an episode and
You
woke
Newmaned it.
up and was like, okay, I guess I'll turn in for the night. But I had my phone because I was watching on my phone, so I had my phone on my chest. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, let me just check Twitter real quick and see what's going on. And I I happened to see the original tweet of the trade of Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and it was like, huh, that's a weird fake tweet. Like, like that's a weird one. And then scroll down or scroll up, and it's like, this is real. And then I see ESPN's tweeting it, NBA on TNT's tweeting it, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
We
And
should
sure
remind
enough,
we should remind our listeners that Paul, you are indeed a Mavericks fan,
I am. Yes, I
or
am definitely a Mavericks fan.
am still present tense.
I am. So we may have talked about this on the show before. I'm not as big an NBA fan as I used to be. I was more an NBA fan. I was an NBA fan first before I was an NFL fan growing up. And the Mavericks were my team, are my team. You know, was lucky enough to watch them win a championship with Dirk. And then I may have told what happened?
I was going to say, and Sean Marion and Jason Terry.
Yep, absolutely. And Jason Kidd are the current coach of the Mavericks.
Current coach.
And I remember, real quick story, in 2000, I think, the NBA draft, I remember the Mavericks drafted a guy from the University of Michigan named Robert Tractor Trailer, and I was really excited. And about 30 minutes later, they traded him for some guy named Dirk Nowitzki. And I was like, who the hell is Dirk Nowitzki? And little did I know.
Maybe
and by the way,
maybe Anthony Davis will turn out to be the same.
Well, yeah, let's see.
Mm.
I'll just kind of echo what everyone else has been saying. Like, I get it. Like, if you're hesitant to give Luka a big contract and you're worried about his health and all that, okay, fine, whatever. But just the how they went about doing this trade, just something's
fishy.
off. Something's missing.
Something's missing. All right. Nico's press conferences have not made anything look better either.
No,
this is not.
Well,
he's not suddenly like. He's not made people think, oh, actually, he has a point. It's all just, okay, you are an idiot.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Like, people may think you're an idiot. Just don't open your mouth and confirm it.
Mouth and prove him right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's confirmed it, all right.
Yeah, he's confirmed it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's really funny to see like everybody kind of like initial reaction. And then as the days have gone on, it's been like, well, actually, Mavericks are in a good spot. And, like all this stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll check in.
Most of what I heard, it was not quite as enthusiastic. They have not come around on it.
Well, and they traded today for somebody from the 76ers, Cam Martin, I think is his name.
I was looking at that. For Martin, because there's two of them, right? Caleb Martin and
it's Caleb Martin. That's who they traded for.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
because there's Caleb Martin, and I think he's got a twin who's in Miami.
Okay. Yeah, so that's how much I don't pay attention. Like usually around this time, now that football's kind of dying down, that's when I usually start to pay more attention to the NBA, and definitely in the playoffs. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, if they may have just the thing a lot of people were kind of frustrated with the Mavericks on is they just basically reset the Lakers for the next 10 years. Like, because now you basically have just given them Luka, and they're
25.
Who's 25, and you have and they have LeBron. So like, if nothing else, you've basically said, all right, here Lakers, here's your next franchise player. Like, it's the Lakers. They do this. They get Shaq,
It's
they
like,
get LeBron, they get I mean, even Kobe was a trade, right? Like Kobe
what
was,
what what was it that George said about Kramer? Kramer going to fantasy baseball camp,
yeah,
fall ass
yeah,
backwards into money. People should plop down $200 a week to two
yeah.
thousand dollars to
The
live like him for a week.
There you go. The Lakers are the Kramer of the NBA. They just
Exactly.
they just fall ass backwards into money, and they ass backwards into franchise players. And so anyway, um, and the other thing I'll mention, I'm still watching Severance. I was, it's really, I will say, this, I guess, so I kind of talked about songs that get stuck in my head last week, and like,
Hmm.
uh, this past week's episode of Severance ended with a needle drop of Eminence Front by The Who. And it was,
Never not a big Who fan.
well, the use of this song for this episode was perfect. Like
Mm.
chef's kiss. It was, and I had always been a fan of that song in particular, but like it was just one of those, like, you ever watch a TV show and like a song starts in the background and then it starts to kick in at
Uh-huh.
the right moment and it's like, okay, this is good. I did want
I feel like
to
I feel
talk
like
before we get to the football. Go
Damages
ahead.
did that really well. Did you ever see Damages? I mentioned it before.
I've
Damn,
heard of it, but
yeah.
I've never.
Damages did that a couple of times, I feel like.
Yeah, Breaking Bad too. I know we just kind of talked about Breaking
Yes,
Bad.
that's a
Breaking
good
Bad
one.
had some good. Yeah, I do want to talk about real quick. Today we're recording this February 4th, Tuesday. The Fantastic Four trailer dropped. I don't know. You're not a big Marvel guy, but the Fantastic Four trailer dropped, and it's been highly anticipated. Um,
I'm
this
looking
is
forward
going
to
to star
the
Pedro.
Superman movie.
Say that again.
I'm looking forward to the Superman movie.
Okay. I'm hoping with the Super Bowl coming up, we'll hopefully get a trailer for Superman, another trailer. Uh, so that both of these movies come out in July. I want to say Superman comes out July 11th, and then Fantastic Four comes out 2 weeks later.
Summer
So
blockbusters.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, look, Fantastic Four is one of those things, they haven't really done it well. Um, when I was in college is when they came out with the Chris
Jessica
Evans,
Alba.
Jessica
Jessica
Alba
Alba.
one, yeah, and then they tried again with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan a little, like a couple years later, and I I have high hopes for this one. It's got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, who I know from my my wife saw her this morning. She goes, "Oh, that's so and so from The Crown on Netflix."
Mm.
And then Joseph Quinn, who's from Stranger Things, and then I can't. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but he plays cousin on The Bear.
Okay.
If you've seen The Bear on FX,
The Crown has
he
The Crown has an X Files connection, by the way.
oh, Gillian Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, I think I knew that. I thought you were going to say it had a Seinfeld connection. I was
Seinfeld
like,
connection.
oh, is that Sue Ellen Mishke plays like a?
They should let her be the Invisible Woman.
Yeah, right. The invisible top, as it were. Uh, all right. So I think we can. Anything else non-football related we want to talk
I
about?
think we're ready to get into the ball of foot.
All right. Moving on to news and notes for this week. Good news for the Saints. They may have a coach. Kellen Moore looks like he is the favorite.
Front runner, if you will.
The front runner. Late last week, it was reported that Mickey Loomis told the other candidates, so that would be Anthony Weaver, the defense coordinator for the Dolphins, Mike Kafka, our
Franz Kafka, Mr.
Franz Kafka, the offensive coordinator for the Giants, and then Mr. Darren Rizzi, who is the interim coach, basically said that they weren't out of the running, but they weren't going to have a decision before the Super Bowl, which they can't do because Kellen Moore is coaching in the Super Bowl, so the Saints can't do anything officially, and they also have to be careful this week that they don't tamper with Kellen Moore like the Cardinals did or were accused of doing with Jonathan Gannon 2 years ago. So that would cause the Cardinals to lose some draft picks. So basically, they can't do anything officially, but all signs point to Kellen Moore being the head coach when the smoke clears. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Speaking of some smoke,
yeah, and then yesterday morning, emails got leaked from basically from a case that. Say that again.
I said from an investigation.
Yeah, so the Saints were, I guess, solicited to help in PR with the Archdiocese of New Orleans from some cases, which you can probably guess what the cases were about, considering it was involved in the Catholic Church. And basically, these emails basically speak to the vice president of communications, I believe was his title for the Saints, Greg Bensel, being involved in potentially covering up some, not great stuff. So I'm not going to speak to it too much because I'm not as well read on it. So I highly encourage folks to go. I know Adam Schefter tweeted out the report from ESPN that they got from, I think it was ESPN just reran the AP report. I will shout out the Saints Block Party podcast. I think I've mentioned them before. They're actually recording an episode should be dropping around the same time our episode drops this week with Ramon Vargas, who from The Guardian, who I believe is doing a lot of reporting on the ground on this story. So I highly recommend folks go listen to that. Because that would be, and I don't want to speak to it too much because I'm not, I know when to not speak about things, and this is definitely something I don't want to speak too much about.
Unlike Nico Harrison.
Yes, unlike Nico, yeah, as we talked about. I will say Goodell was asked about it in his press conference. Now we know the NFL and the Saints have had their run-ins, let's say, the last couple of years, last decade or so. Goodell basically kind of, I don't want to say he swept it under the rug, but he kind of said, doesn't seem like the Saints did anything wrong. I mean, and if the NFL thought the Saints did something wrong, they definitely would investigate it. So take that for what it's worth. Not a good situation, obviously, and not something you want to have when you're hosting the Super Bowl. There was talk about this could potentially cost them Kellen Moore. I don't know. I mean, I would hope that now we should point out this is two sides of the house, right? There's the football side and there's the PR side. This is the PR side. I would hope that if Mickey Loomis or whoever was interviewing Kellen Moore had wind of something like this coming down, that they would at least give Kellen Moore a heads up. Hey, by the way, it kind of reminds me of the Tuttle thing.
As you are aware.
As you are aware, yeah, I am aware.
Mr. Tuttle, your car is being towed.
Right. That's literally what I thought of. It's like, so we'll see what happens with this and how it impacts. I mean, I was pretty upset reading about it yesterday, just because like it's if the worst is true and they being the Saints really did like remove names and like do all this stuff.
They name names.
Or they remove like it's not good, man. It's not
going to be good for anybody.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, honestly. Like there's talk about if it got to a certain point, like them making Gail Benson sell the team. I mean, this is bad stuff. So
bad men, very bad men.
Bad. So let's talk about the Cowboys. They got a new offensive coordinator. Everybody seems to be excited about.
They've actually done a good job. I'm not overly enthused with the defensive hire that they made in Eberflus, but like I said before, like it's a competent defensive coordinator, um, who's they'll probably be fine. They'll probably be like respectable at least. Um, I wish they had kept Zimmer around, but this is fine. But I do like the hires that they're making on the offensive side of the ball because they're bringing in Clayton Adams as offensive coordinator. He was the offensive line coach and run game coordinator for the Cardinals, who
Yep.
apparently Cardinals fans are very upset that he's leaving just because
Yeah.
their run game is it's very diversified. So they don't just like say, we're going to do this over and over again. So they can run counter action, they can run pin and pools, they can run duo, they can run power, they can run any sort of run game thing. They're able to do it. He's a good teacher, which I think is good because they've got so many young offensive linemen right now. You're probably losing Zach Martin to retirement, most likely this offseason. So it just feels like the right hire to kind of get the run game rejuvenated. I think they'll still need to add a little bit of a juice on the ground in the person of some um, like just a draft pick there, maybe somebody in free agency. Um, but I like the direction that they're heading here, like using or hiring Adams because he seems like the type of guy who's going to be able to coordinate the ground game. Whereas I think Brian Schottenheimer is more of a passing game coordinator kind of guy. You're bringing someone in to kind of manage the. He won't be calling plays because Schottenheimer is planning on doing that, but he'll be able to get the ground game going. So step in the right
Yeah.
direction at least. I think they've done a good job hiring the running backs coach because they hired
The Saints running
the
backs coach.
yeah, they did. They interviewed
Deshaun
Tashard
Foster.
Choice. I was really hoping they would hire Tashard Choice,
Yeah.
but he went back to UT and apparently got a big pay raise. So good for him.
Yep.
And UT gets to keep their running backs coach, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yep.
So
One thing I'll say about Adams, is that the OC? That's
yeah,
his name?
Clayton Adams.
Yeah. One thing that encouraged me about Kellen Moore is apparently Jeremy Fowler, I believe, for ESPN reported that the Cardinals were expecting to lose him to either Dallas or New Orleans for he would have been on Moore's staff. So the fact that he was on Moore's radar makes me feel like, okay, Moore at least has a plan. He's got a staff kind of picked out. I know that another name I heard for the OC under Moore was Doug Nussmeier,
Cowboy
whose
coaching
son,
legend.
Cowboy coaching legend, whose son Garrett is about to start his last year at LSU, or he's going back to school at LSU. So obviously that'll start some connecting some dots, I guess, for down the road. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to it. One thing the other thing I wanted to bring up about Kellen Moore, Diana Rossini on her podcast last week with Chase Daniel, Scoop City, she used the word scuttlebutt when saying the only kind of scuttlebutt between Kellen Moore and the Saints is Moore not being, I forget how she phrased it, but basically like Moore had concerns around the quarterback room with the Saints, which is understandable. Now, a lot of people jump to the conclusion
But Derek Carr's got all that good tape. Like,
right. Well, I think Moore saw the tape. That's the problem. But so the immediate conclusion is that Moore doesn't want to coach Derek Carr. But then another report came out over the weekend that there are executives in the front office of the Saints who are very high on Spencer Rattler. So that led to, well, maybe Moore doesn't like Spencer Rattler. Like maybe that's the issue. So who knows at this point? Derek Carr has definitely been the discussion of trade talks this offseason.
Maybe
do you think
the fact that Kellen Moore absolutely roasted Derek Carr when they played each other in college is
true?
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's where the tension will be.
The other thing I saw today, this report just will not go away. I saw something today, all of a sudden, just randomly popped up, like maybe John Gruden will be the OC for the Saints, and it's where is this coming from? Like,
Speaking of people who had emails leaked,
right, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Oh,
there's
goodness.
an organizational fit right there. Synergy.
Speaking of John Gruden and the Raiders, they hired Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator.
I like this
Um,
move.
this I have to say, I think the Bears have had the best. Shout out to Andy, the Bears fan. I think the Bears have had the best coaching staffing of the offseason. I mean, they've
Mhm.
got obviously Ben Johnson. They hired Dennis Allen as defensive coordinator. They hired
Al Harris.
oh yes, Al Harris, Cowboy legend. They as a what was he defensive backs coach? Something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Their OC hire was I can't remember now. Um, uh, it'll come to me later. But they did hire the running. Do you see who they hired the running backs coach for the Bears?
No, who? Oh wait.
Eric sleeping with the enemy.
Okay, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. But all that to say, while as good as the Bears have done, I think the Raiders are number two. Hiring Pete Carroll, uh, Chip Kelly as your OC. I think they're bringing Greg Roman back as like a quarterbacks coach or something. Uh, and they retained Patrick Graham, who was their defensive coordinator, who we talked about last week with the whole Liam Cohen fiasco. He was potentially, he was interviewing for the Jags job so that they could satisfy the Rooney Rule, so that they could hire Cohen.
Hmm.
But then there was also talk that the Jags may just pluck him as their defensive coordinator too while he was there, but obviously that didn't happen. So, yeah, so shout out to the Raiders. Man, I will say somebody brought this up, and I tend to agree with them. The NFL is better when the Raiders are good. Like just having the Raiders be a good team, I think, is better for the league as a whole. So hopefully they're on their way to that. Also hiring an offensive coordinator was our local Houston Texans here. Nick, is it Callie?
Kaylee,
Caley? Okay.
Rams
From the
tight ends coach.
Rams. Yeah. So the Shanahan tree didn't work with Bobby Slowick. So let's go to the Sean McVay tree
Yeah, I
and
think
hire
we,
this
we had the
guy.
exact same thought on that. Hey, the
Yeah.
Shanahan. We tried the Shanahan tree. That's no good. Let's try the other tree.
Um,
And
I
then the
mean,
third tree will be the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
I guess, yeah. The tree of life. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, so we'll see how that works for the Texans.
What they really need is an offensive line coach that's
Yeah, well,
confident. 'Cause that was their problem.
that's the problem. Yeah, that was part of their problem. And you don't want to look. You want to strike while the iron's hot with C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's on a rookie QB deal because that's the best time. I mean, then we talked about good coaching staffs. The Patriots are putting one together. Looks like for the Drake.
They're getting the game back together.
They're getting the gang back together. I also want to talk about non-coaching. Let's talk about some player things. Cooper Cup tweeted out yesterday that he's apparently the Rams are trying to trade him.
They're trying to pass
And
the cup.
they're trying to pass the cup. I bring this up because wouldn't he make a lot of sense for the Patriots?
Yeah, he is white, so yes.
Well, I mean, number one, yeah. Check. But no, like I mean,
He
just
could be a real Edelman type receiver.
well, yeah. I mean, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. Like all these guys. Like and the Patriots have money to spend. So I mean, I know I've heard the Patriots tied to T. Higgins this offseason. Like if they got T. Higgins and Cooper Cup for Drake May, whew,
I think they also need to get him They need to get him an offensive line too.
well, they've got the number 4 pick in the draft. They can do that, I would think, with use that to help. Yeah, so I'm very interested to see where Cup ends up. I think the betting favorite is the Steelers. This is what I saw. That would be interesting, I guess.
Who's going to throw him the ball?
Yeah,
Justin
that's
Fields?
well, that's the word on the street. Looks like Russell Wilson might be a Raider. We talked about that last week. Another name for the Raiders for their quarterback that I saw briefly mentioned was Geno Smith. The Seahawks might be not all in on Geno Smith. Obviously, the Seahawks. Oh, we should mention this: the Seahawks basically hired the Saints offensive staff from last year. Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator; John Benton, offensive line coach; Andrew Giacano. I probably mispronouncing his last name, but the quarterback coach. So maybe Geno's out in Seattle. Maybe Seattle decides to go to a different direction.
Would you take Geno for? Would you take a straight up challenge trade of Geno Smith for Derek Carr?
Yeah. You kidding? Where do I sign? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like that would be my question is like why would the Seahawks do that?
No. I'm not saying they would. I don't know. Like I was thinking Geno for the Raiders because Geno and Pete Carroll have a relationship from Seattle, but who knows? Well, it'd be very interesting to see. The interesting thing about the quarterbacks this year with the free agency and all this, because the draft is kind of weak, quarterback wise, I think we're going to see.
I think what you mean to say is,
Well, it sucks.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, I think we're going to see some moves. I mean, obviously, you've got free agent quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, Jameis Winston's out there. Did you see Jameis talking to Saquon last night at the media thing?
No, I never watched the media stuff. I just don't care.
they had Jameis out there as like asking questions. And I forget how he phrased it, but he basically was like, "Hey, Saquon, can you help me find a job?" And Saquon's like, "I hear the Giants need a quarterback." And James was like, "All right, fine, I'll take it, whatever." Yeah.
That's better than what they've been trotting out there the last couple of years.
Yes, I mean, free agent quarterbacks, you got Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. That's basically your top four.
So got some good bridge quarterbacks in there.
We should also mention, we talked about Cooper Kupp getting traded. Myles Garrett
requested
a trade. How do you feel about the Cowboys being the betting favorite for Myles Garrett services?
I think that's a betting market ploy. I don't think that more than anything. I feel like the Cowboys are always like the betting favorite, and then it's like
now
how do I bet no on this?
Just don't let Nico Harrison in the room, or they're going to trade Micah Parsons for Myles Garrett.
Gosh, that trade that you sent me was wild.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, I there was a tweet. This was one of those classic "Who says no" type tweets, and it was Myles Garrett to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys sent what was it, Dak
and Micah.
Oh, and Micah. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah,
and 2 draft picks.
Yeah, that was Who says no? The Cowboys, hopefully. Yeah, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, the number 12 pick, the number 44 pick to the Browns for Myles Garrett, and the number 2 overall pick. So there you go. You got Myles Garrett, and you draft Shador. Everything's solved.
Too bad we already hired Schottenheimer.
I know, right? Could you? That would be great. The trade gets approved.
You're fired.
Come on in, Dion.
We need a Jerry Jones like equivalent of George Steinbrenner in the Seinfeld episodes.
Well, I mean, Jerry was in an episode of Landman, apparently.
Let me tell you, George, I'm Jerry Jones, and
that's Jerry does the next. The next generation of Seinfeld is going to be based in Dallas, and it's going to be
Seinfeld South. Oh, we could do Dallas, but like a Seinfeld version.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna start writing the script.
Go noodle with that. While you're
Yeah.
What other news and notes do we have here? Let's go through. Yes, we talked about the coaching. The Jaguars are still kind of. So the thing with the Jaguars trying to fill out their coaching staff is they're trying to purge all the Tampa guys, and Tampa's like, nope,
That's not happening.
that ain't happening, boss. Go somewhere else. We talked about the Cowboys a little bit. The Jets, looks like the Jets have got their staff pretty much set. Steve Wilkes is defensive coordinator. I forget who they hired as offensive coordinator off the top of my head. But I know their big decision now is what to do with Aaron Rodgers. Excuse me. They hired Aaron Glenn.
I think their decision was to let him coach the team.
They made that decision. But yeah. So that's. I think that'll do it for news. Any other news and notes that you can think of that we need to?
No, but I will say so. Tanner Engstrand is the Jets OC,
yes.
former Lions assistant.
Yeah, I talked about this last week. So he was passed up for the Lions OC job because they promoted Frank Haley so that he wouldn't go to Chicago with Ben Johnson. Mm-hmm. And then Tanner, that person that you just mentioned,
was the next in line, basically.
He was odd man out. So Aaron Glenn's like, hey, you can come be my OC. So there you go. All right, so let's move along here. Let's get to our newest segment here for the off season. We're going to watch the Watchers, Brent.
I'm watching the Watchers, Derek. Uh-oh.
The really makes it.
The uh-oh does it. Let me pull up so we're going to look at two things here. We've got a mock draft from Matt Miller, who works for ESPN. He released this mock draft yesterday, I believe.
February 3rd.
It was
correct.
And it was a 2-round mock draft. Where is my? Sorry, give me 1 second, folks. I apologize.
So, do we want to lead with? Do we want to lead with your team here?
Yeah, I guess since they picked first, right? So we'll here we go. Just give me 1 second. I'm almost there. Almost there.
I don't believe this draft. It doesn't have the Saints trading up to draft somebody.
Right.
Somebody I used to say.
Right. So we'll start with the Saints. The Saints have the number 9 pick. Matt Miller has them in the first round, selecting Teteroa McMillan, who's a wide receiver from Arizona. I would definitely be on board with this pick, given Olave's health issues and also Rashid Shaheed's health issues. And also just the Saints need a guy who can catch the 50-50 balls. Like this McMillan is 6'5". He's kind of a bigger receiver.
They need someone after the other two players get concussed by Derek Carr's passes.
That too. You might appreciate the Cowboys pick at number 12. He's got them selecting University of Texas receiver Matthew Golden.
I like it. It's not the guy that I would prefer, but it does give me someone to cheer for who was a former Longhorn, because I feel like we don't have enough of former Longhorns who are Cowboys, especially right now.
Well, you have Overshawn, right? Overshawn.
Yep. Yeah, I wish he would stop blowing out his knee, though.
Yeah, that would
be the only problem.
If I'm not mistaken, the guy that you probably would prefer is Luther Burden III.
That is correct. He has him dropping pretty far, doesn't he?
Yeah, to 19 to Tampa Bay, which I don't want because that would make Tampa Bay better. Another guy that we've talked about the Cowboys potentially drafting. I like this fit here. Ashton Genty to the Chargers. I think that would be.
They
need
weapons for
Herbert.
Herbert. Yeah.
Well, and they just need running backs who can stay healthy. Honestly,
they need somebody who wasn't a former Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, true. True. There was talk. I remember when the Kellen Moore to the Saints thing first started. There was talk of like, well, Kellen Moore went to Boise State. Ashton Genty went to Boise State. Maybe the Saints draft Ashton. I mean, the Saints could look at this point. The Saints just need play. We just need players. We just need uh, just
Y'all are
good
just
young
one player
players.
away. Y'all are just one player away, though.
Yeah, right. We just don't know
That's
which
what.
one. It's the only problem. So this is a 2-round mock draft. So let me go to round 2. Oh, actually, before I go to round 2,
Yeah, we
couple
should
other
talk about
notable.
the Shadur because I think we had this conversation
Yeah.
earlier about because
Well, yeah.
the general idea going into this was that the Titans would take him number 1, but as more information is coming out, it seems like Ward will be the top quarterback taken. May not
Yep.
be to Tennessee necessarily, and then
Nope.
Shadur is going to end up sliding a few picks down, and Miller has him going to where I think this makes sense, and I think you're with me on that. Is going number 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders, which is
Yeah.
that's an Al Davis special right there.
Well, and I think, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders traded up to try to get Shador. I know Shador and Tom Brady have some kind of relationship, prior relationship. So obviously Tom Brady now, as to hear Diana Rossini talk about on her podcast, Tom Brady's running the show in Vegas, pretty much. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot of input, and I think Pete Carroll is probably the best coach that Shador could have, honestly, as a rookie. Um, and with Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator, I mean, we saw what he could do in Philadelphia with what he did with Vic. I mean, Shador is not Michael Vick, but I think he's got he's got the pieces. But yeah, to your point, Miller has the Titans going 1 with Abdul Carter, who a lot of people feel like is the next coming on your guy, Michael Parsons.
Right.
So
I mean, he did go to Penn State.
he went to Penn State and he wore number 11. So
Yeah.
he's got to be pretty good.
Yeah.
He's got the Browns going with Travis Hunter. I mean, no. I would be shocked. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans bypassed on quarterback and the Browns bypassed on quarterback. But I would kind of be shocked if the Giants bypassed on quarterback. If the Giants get there and Cam Ward's there, that feels like that's going to be the pick. For the Patriots,
I'm a little surprised he doesn't have the Patriots going offensive line here. That seems like
and what's even more surprising, he doesn't have him going to offensive line in the first or the second round. He's got him going Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, who's great. Don't get me wrong. And then in the second round, he's got him going Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher from Ohio State. So a little Michigan Ohio State combination there for the Patriots. Will Campbell is his top offensive lineman. He's got him going to the Jets. Your guy from UT, Kelvin Banks, going to the Bears at number 10. So
the Bears.
A couple of UT guys going in the top 12 there. Jahdae Barron going to the Cardinals, cornerback from UT.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to round 2 here. Let's take a look at
how do you feel about the Saints pick here?
In round 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss. I'm going to be honest with you, Brandon, and I'm not saying I agree with this. I wouldn't be shocked if they picked him at 9. He had a really good Senior Bowl week. The Saints are notorious for drafting Senior Bowl players. Specifically quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler was at the Senior Bowl.
The Cowboys do that a lot too.
Yeah. So wouldn't be surprised. He definitely is Jackson Dart is definitely a developmental talent. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'd feel like this quarterback class is screaming for somebody to step up to be QB3. It could be Jackson Dart. I read something today. Will Howard from Ohio State is thought very highly of by some people.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with the combine and with all that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't have any. Like I said, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, um, it really just comes down to what Kellen Moore's plan is. Like if they come into the off season, they hire Kellen Moore, and then they say, okay, we're going to trade Derek Carr, we're going to draft either Jackson Dart or Will Howard or one of these quarterbacks, and just have him and Rattler duke it out in training camp, and we'll just go with the best one. I'm fine with it. I mean, look, we know, and apparently it's been from what's been reported is the management's telling these coaching candidates for the Saints, like, look, don't expect too much next year. Like we're we realize we're putting you in a bad spot, but we're going to be patient with you, and we're going to help you. So all that to say, yeah, I have no issues with the pick of Dart there. Let's look at the Cowboy. Do you know anything about this Cowboys pick?
I've seen is the highlight tapes from the Senior Bowl where he was just cooking people.
Yeah, this is Elijah Arroyo.
He reminds you of Jeremy Shockey, right?
Yeah, I retweeted somebody's highlights of this guy at the Senior Bowl, Elijah Arroyo. He's a tight end for Miami. I said, reminds me of another tight end from Miami who played for the Saints, and someone I apologize, I don't remember who retweeted this and said, "Oh, you mean Jeremy Shockey?" It's like, no, not Jeremy Shockey. Close. No, he's got a lot of Jimmy Graham to him. The one thing I will say, unlike Jimmy Graham, he doesn't strike me as the guy who's going to post people up in the red zone, if that makes sense. Like he's not going to, he's not that big, but he's shifty. He's got a lot of wiggle to him, I guess, is what I'll say.
That's what I miss the most about Dez Bryant is when Dez was there, they could run just fade routes. Like most of the time, fade routes are like kind of like bad routes. But if you've got a guy that can just go up over everybody, like Romo would just drop back and throw the fade, and if it didn't work the first time, they would run it again, and then it would usually work the second time. So
now
having one of those guys in the red zone is great.
I will say Arroyo is 6'4", 251. So I'm not saying he's small, but he's just not Jimmy Graham. Like Jimmy Graham was 6'7", 6. I mean, like, so yeah. So I think both of us would be probably pretty happy with those picks. I did want to point out he has another. You mentioned running back for the Cowboys. One of the running backs I've seen mocked to the Cowboys in some other drafts is Caleb Johnson from Iowa.
Okay.
You should check him out. I obviously follow Iowa in college. He would be a good get for the Cowboys, or he'd be a good get for anybody, but he'd be a good get for the Cowboys.
He'd be a good get for anybody.
This running back class is deep. Like it's not just Ashton Genty. It's Caleb Johnson.
And that's part of the reason why I don't want them to go and spend a high draft pick on somebody like Genty, because it's like you don't need to in this class. You can get good guys on day 2.
And with that in mind, I'll just point out pick 64 in this mock draft. He has the Chiefs getting Travion Henderson from Ohio State. So yeah. Because that's what the Chiefs need. They just need another good running back, right? Like they just need. Oh man,
come on.
That would be so Chiefs.
I also don't like him. He has the Eagles getting the edge from Marshall, who I like, who is awesome.
Oh, Mike Green.
Yeah.
He's another
Mean Mike Green.
Mean Mike Green. Yeah, he's another guy. Had a good week at the Senior Bowl. There was a lot of talk about him coming into the Senior Bowl because obviously being from Marshall, his level of competition in college was not great. So you kind of want to see how he held up against,
I think he put those doubts to bed.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, to your point, that's all the Eagles need is just another guy who can rush the passer.
Yeah, I think with the Senior Bowl happening and like him performing well, I wonder if that like shoots his draft stock up to where he's not.
Well, I mean, I saw him. I saw him before the Senior Bowl. I saw him like top 15 pick anyway. So
Yeah, so
we'll
31
see.
seems a little. That seems a little rich.
We'll see. The other thing I wanted to talk about was an article that Pro Football Focus put out. And it talks about one free agent that every team should target. So this is not free agents, and this is not re-signing free agents. This is free agents that teams should seek out, as it were. And of course, my phone is not cooperating here. Let me try to pull it up on technical difficulties here this evening, folks. Apologize. Let's see. PFF. Because the one that they mentioned for the Saints I found pretty interesting, and the one I mentioned for the Cowboys is pretty interesting too. Of course, no, I can't find it. Rats.
That's a shame.
That's a shame. Okay, well, I do remember the one for the Saints. I remember. So for the Saints, it was Hollywood Brown, the receiver for the. Oh, here we go. I found it. Here we go. I got it. And I apologize. It wasn't PFF. It was the 33rd team from Matthew Mosher.
Is it Marcus Mosher?
I apologize. Marcus Mosher. Yes.
Yeah, he's a co-host of the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, so he has the Cowboys targeting Robert Spillane, who's a linebacker from the Raiders. Yeah,
I do know that name.
Yep. So he looks like a 2-year deal, $16 million. Obviously, that's a guesstimate that he's going with there. And then he has for the Saints, he has, I mentioned a minute ago, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Again, I mentioned a minute ago, the Saints could use another receiver. Obviously, we have Rashid Shaheed, but Shaheed's coming off IR. I think it was his Achilles or his knee that gave out on him.
Olave is coming off 30 concussions.
Olave's, yeah. So that's obviously not great. I did want to point out I did read something separate from this article. I did read Stephon Diggs. Looks like he wants to play for either go back to Houston or possibly play for the Cowboys next year.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need somebody blowing up the locker room.
Marcus in this article, now this would make sense here. He has the Raiders targeting Sam Darnold. To me, that would make sense. Even if they do draft Shador,
you can let him sit for a few years.
Now, if you're Sam Darnold, this will be the second year in a row you get signed by a team, and then they end up drafting a quarterback in the first round anyway. But
right,
Speaking of which, I heard we were talking about the Myles Garrett thing earlier. I heard an interesting trade discussed. Somebody said the Vikings should trade McCarthy, so re-sign Darnold, trade McCarthy to the Browns for Garrett. Now, if I'm the Browns, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Right.
Because now you don't have to spend – now you can draft Travis Hunter. You don't have to spend a pick on a quarterback. McCarthy's probably better than all the quarterbacks in this draft anyway. I mean, I know he's coming off ACL, but
– it's a pretty low bar to clear, right?
And then you're probably going to sign Kirk Cousins anyway, because you can sign Kirk Cousins cheap because Atlanta's going to eat most of that hit. So, yeah, I would. And then for the Vikings, I mean, you put Myles Garrett on that defense that was already pretty good.
You can play him across from Rip Van Ginkel.
From Van Ginkel, yeah. The team that makes the most sense, I'm sorry to go back to the Garrett thing, but the team that makes the most sense to me for Garrett is the Lions, because the Lions don't need a first-round pick, right? I mean, like, they've got a late first-round pick, and I guarantee you whatever player they're going to draft at 27 or whatever pick they have, Myles Garrett's probably better than that player.
Yeah,
right?
Then it just becomes a cap question, right? Can you Can you make those numbers work?
And then you're going to have Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson on your defensive line,
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. Like, I mean, and you probably need it. I mean, because you lost those coaches. I mean, obviously losing Glenn and losing Ben Johnson. You know, players getting some juice on the defensive line, that would help. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Do you see any other free agent targets you want to talk about here?
No, but speaking of the draft, I think it's warmed up around here, but I think I must have left the window open because I feel a draft, Paul.
Yep.
I feel a draft. Let's change tables.
Get out of here. We have a booth.
All right, buddy. You want to introduce this one?
Yeah. So for this week, last week we did we kind of talked about we redrafted the opening games, and then we also drafted Taylor Swift songs. This week we're in honor of the Super Bowl. We will be drafting halftime shows. So talking about the, we talked before the show, before we came on air, about the shows that kind of the early ones were a little bit more of marching bands and stuff. So we may be a little bit more recent. There may be some recency bias on this one, but we're going to draft the halftime shows.
But the best we can tell, and we talked about this off mic, the best we can tell is the first kind of star-studded like Super Bowl halftime show as we know it today was the 1993 halftime for the 92 season. This was Michael Jackson. That's kind of the first one. So I doubt we're going to go anywhere before there. So
we'll see about that, Paul.
We'll see.
I may pull a wild card on you.
Fair enough. Let's all right. Who's picking? I think I went first last time.
Yeah, because you picked the first Taylor Swift songs. That's correct.
Yeah, so I'll give you the coin toss here. You want to defer or do you want to pick first?
I'm going to pick first because there's one that I really want.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take the Super Bowl halftime show performed in the rain in Miami.
Yep.
In which it was the Colts and the Bears.
Yep.
2006 Super Bowl played in February 4th, 2007. The anniversary. We were at the anniversary of this. The 18th anniversary. I'm taking the Prince halftime show.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I'm wearing a Prince shirt right now.
Hey, look at you. You. Yeah, somebody posted a clip of this show on Twitter today. Like when he got into Purple Rain and he was playing the guitar solo in the rain. Pretty epic stuff. This was Super Bowl 41, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah, Super Bowl 41. He was backed up by the Florida A&M University Marching Band. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, look, can't really go wrong with that.
That's correct.
I would say.
Right,
one thing I will say about that Super Bowl. So Miami hosted that. Miami actually got to host 2 Super Bowls in 4 years because so 3 years later they hosted the Saints, the Super Bowl 44. That actually was 15 years ago. We're coming up on the 15th year anniversary of that one. I will not be taking the halftime show of that one, at least not right now. I'm going to go to one that I watched today. I'm going to go all the way to Super Bowl 50. Halftime show there started with Coldplay, but then they were joined by Bruno Mars and Beyonce. I saw the highlights of this. I had forgotten about this one. I saw the highlights of this, or I saw this one today. I didn't really review or revisit a lot of these, but I wanted to revisit this one because I just didn't remember it. This was right around this is when Uptown Funk was like the number 1 song in America.
Right. Where it's everywhere.
So it was everywhere. Could not escape it. So like, and this was really a really well done, and this is obviously for Super Bowl 50. So they were part of the halftime show was kind of going back through the different halftime performances and showing videos of those. So yeah, I just thought it was really good. So I'll pick that one with my first pick. Excuse me. We'll go Super Bowl 50, and then for my second pick, I'm gonna go with. I think I'm going to go with the one the year after that, Super Bowl 51 here in Houston. Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
I was never a big Lady Gaga fan.
You know, I mean, I just remember this show was a big deal at the time. I think didn't she like jump off the roof or something, or they did some kind of
Stunt with it.
some
I
kind of big.
remember. I think
stunt, yeah.
that sounds correct.
Sounds like a thing. That sounds like a thing.
Sounds like a thing.
Yeah, so I'll go with those two. What you got for your next one there, Brendan?
I'm also going to take a Houston Super Bowl halftime performance. I'm going
Oh,
to take the Justin Timberlake Janet Jackson incident one. So
This
that's
is,
Super Bowl 38.
38, yep.
So I have a story about this. So
Do tell.
So we were watching this at one of my friends we had like a watch party over at his house, and so me and a handful of friends were over there. We're watching the game. It's halftime. I'm sitting there by the TV. I'm just like eating candy or something. We're like, just because we got all kinds of junk food there, and I'm
Right.
watching, and the incident happens. But I have you naked by the end of this song. Well, and I see what happens, and then they like cut away really fast. This is because in this day there was no 7-second delay, right?
Yeah.
So they have it. They cut away, and I'm like, wait, was that? And I turn and look, and my friend's dad, who is like hosting the show, like makes eye contact with me, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw that." And I was like, "Okay, so it was what I thought it was."
It was like Elaine's Christmas card.
Yeah.
I believe
think
I see
a nipple. I really want to.
Yeah, and
you want to see a Christmas card?
This is like early. Twitter did not exist at this point.
No, it
Facebook definitely. I definitely had Facebook because I remember people going to Facebook pretty quick and being like, "Did I just see what I think I saw?" Yeah.
Gipple.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely not real story, but I noticed that this performance was backed up by the Ocean of Soul marching band. That's the marching band at Texas Southern University here in Houston. The year after this, Northwestern State, my alma mater, played Texas Southern, and they brought the band and completely blew us off the field. I mean, they were just.
I think they do that to most bands.
Just a whole nother level, man. Nothing but respect for them and for all the HBCU bands. Absolutely spectacular. All right, is that your two picks, or did you get one more?
I've got one more. I'm going to take something a little more recent. I'm going to take the Los Angeles rap scene one with Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar.
It'll be this year's halftime. Kendrick Lamar is going to be this year's
right. So this is one of the ones where this is where we realize that they're actually trying to appeal to people our age with this with the halftime performances because before it was like the Who and other kind of our parents' age stuff. Now they're actually like trying to appeal to us. This was a fantastic one. Me and my wife both sang to all the songs, of course.
Right.
Just a great memory.
Did this one start with California Love? I think
It started with
I
the
want to say
next episode and then went into California Love.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because I remember thinking like, well, they've got to do California Love because it's
of
it's
course,
in
in
LA.
California. All right, Paul, you've got your last two picks.
All right, I'm gonna stick with the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday is the first one in New Orleans since the Super Bowl in 2012 or for the 2012 season. It was played in 2013. This would be Super Bowl 42. No, yeah, no, 40. I can't read Roman numerals. 47. Apologies. But I'm gonna go with Beyonce's
LACBI?
half. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Beyonce's halftime show of that Super Bowl. This is the one that turned the power off, if you recall.
Yes, I do remember that.
This might be the reason why they haven't had a Super Bowl in New Orleans since then. But I just remember, I remember the show. I remember the halftime show and thought, yeah, it was, it was a Beyonce halftime show. I mean, it was good. And then early in the second half, power went off. So,
Killed the Ravens'
she
momentum too. I think
absolutely,
that really gave the 49ers a chance to get back in that game, it felt like.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then I'm gonna go. So I went back to back years from first two picks. I'm gonna go back to back years here. I'm gonna go with the next year, the Super Bowl that was in MetLife Stadium. Halftime show there was Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
you're
go
going
with
heavy on the Bruno Mars here.
yeah. He was a thing. Do you remember? Bruno Mars was like a big deal for about 4 years, and then he
Hmm.
kind of he had a couple years ago he released an album with Anderson Paak. What was it called?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they had "Leave the Door Open" and
Yes.
"Smoking Out the Window" and yeah, and all those songs. Silk Sonic, that's what it was called.
Yeah, Silk Sonic. I knew Silk something.
Yeah, that was a great album. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's still. Well, he performed with Lady Gaga at the Grammys this past week,
Hmm.
so he's still out there. He's
Well,
still
I did
doing.
watch. I should have mentioned this in the thing in the previous. I did watch a chunk of the Grammys.
Yeah, I did too.
Not all of it. I saw Sabuzi play, which I like that
Okay.
song.
Okay.
Um, that's all I really remember.
We were watching it. We were watching it for Taylor Swift. My wife was hoping she would make an announcement about another album, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. She did present best country album to Beyonce.
Saw that.
So
She did sing along to "Not Like Us."
right. I think I had dozed off by that point, but
I just saw the highlights. That was me. That was me seeing the highlights or seeing the highlights because I didn't see that.
yep. So yeah, so big week for Kendrick Lamar. He wins all those Grammys, and now he's getting to do the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Not such a great week for Drake.
For the Drake,
Yeah, the Drake is not having a good week.
I can tell you this: Kendrick Lamar does not. He hates the Drake.
He does hate the Drake. I hate the Drake.
Hate the Drake.
All right. So I debated this. I thought about going back to the early days because there was one where the Tyler.
Oh,
Tyler
I did
Jr.
see
College?
this. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought
this.
they performed. They actually performed in a couple of them. Yeah, the Tyler Junior College Apache Bells and the Tyler Band performed in Tulane Stadium for.
Yep.
Maybe I will take it. Okay, I'm going to take this. I was going to take the Weekends because I thought that performance was just kind of wacky and fun.
It was, yeah.
I'm going to take Super Bowl VI, the
Okay.
Salute to Louis Armstrong,
Oh, there you go.
which was in. It was Super Bowl VI, which is the Cowboys' first Super Bowl win.
Okay, there you go.
In Tulane Stadium, and Ella Fitzgerald, Carol Channing, and Al Hurt performed. The U.S. Marine Corps drill team. The Marine Corps actually uses it. Do you know that? No, do you know that reference? It's an office quote.
No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway,
I miss it. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. So He's talking about his core blaster extreme. It works your arm core and your leg
Oh, okay,
core.
yeah, yeah.
The Marine Corps, I think, uses it. I think that's where they got the word core from. But yes, the Tyler Junior College Apache Bells, which are the drill team for the junior college there, which is a
Yep.
rival of my hometown, Kilgore College.
Kilgore. That's right. Yep.
But I will take them. It's a Cowboys first Super Bowl. It's got a Tyler connection, an East Texas connection. So I'm going to take the Super Bowl 6. We said we weren't going to go back there, but I'm going off
Well,
the map here. I'll do it.
hey, you're you're an adult. You can make those decisions. I do want to give a couple shout outs. Super Bowl 35. This was the Aerosmith and NSYNC one. I remember this being a big deal, like because it was
Mm-hmm.
like MTV. It was Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Mary J. Blige, and Nelly. This is in like 2001. The game was played in 2001. Nothing screams 2001 than Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Mary J. Blige, and Nelly. And then the following year, this was in New Orleans. This was the Patriots. This was Brady and the Patriots' first Super
Over the
Bowl.
Rams.
This is right after 9/11, and the halftime show was U2.
Mhm.
They did the dedication to those killed in the 9/11 attacks, which was very, very good. See if there's any other ones. Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stone. It was back. So this is kind of speaking to what you were talking to. So they had Paul McCartney, and then in Super Bowl 39, and then Super Bowl 40 was the Rolling Stones. And then this is when they started kind of going to, like, they did Prince, then they did Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. The
Mhm.
year the Saints won the Super Bowl 44, the halftime show was The Who. Won't Get
The
Fooled
who?
Again.
The who?
The Who?
The who? Yeah.
And then the next year was the Black Eyed Peas. So they were kind of like, okay, let's go a
Let's get a little more modern.
a little bit more
Modern.
modern. Yeah, but and then they've kind of started. I will say I did see a video of Katy Perry. You remember Katy Perry's halftime
That one
where
was
she
that
wrote?
was so I thought about taking that one too because I
Yeah,
thought that one was really good.
yeah, that was when she was like over the moon. Like,
California Dreamin' or
yep,
California Girls.
yep, that was
Um,
it, man. Uh, yeah. So let's see what Kendrick Lamar does this week. Hopefully, he'll have a good show there. You can actually we may talk about this later, but you can actually place wagers on if Taylor Swift joins them during the halftime show. They do have a song together. They did do "Bad Blood." There's a version of "Bad Blood" that Kendrick Lamar
that's right. That was
featured
like the
on.
original version, basically the original radio
Yeah,
version.
yeah, I believe so. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But hope everybody enjoyed that. Speaking of the Super Bowl, let's get to talking about it. Let's talk about the game a little bit here. The game nobody wants to watch, as it were.
I
Uh,
certainly don't.
yeah, we're hoping for good commercials for sure and a good halftime show. Uh, this is Super Bowl 59, believe it or not. Uh, Eagles, Chiefs. Do we know who the home team is?
That I don't know.
Is it?
I never bothered to check. I want to.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. Yeah, because
I
it doesn't matter except for who calls the coin toss.
Yeah, it looks like it's the Eagles based on I'm at Action Network and the Eagles are
Okay.
listed on the bottom, so
Okay.
I assume it's them.
So the Chiefs, based on Action Network, what I saw earlier, Chiefs are laying a point and a half. Oh, by the way, this Super Bowl brought to you by none other than Carson Wentz, because who else could present Chiefs Eagles?
I heard someone say that the Eagles' best bet of winning this game is having Carson Wentz in the game.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I heard somebody say it would be hilarious if if the Chiefs were winning by a lot and they put Carson Wentz out just to take a knee to end the
Uh-huh.
game. That would be
There you go. That's the way to do it.
that's the way to do it. So these two teams did not meet this season. They did meet in Super Bowl 57 2 years ago. Chiefs won that 38-35. Pretty entertaining game, as I remember it.
My favorite play of that game was Jalen Hurts fumbling the ball into a touchdown for the Chiefs because it just bounced right into the lap of the Chiefs player.
This was the Nick Bolton. Was that the Nick
Yep.
Bolton
Mm-hmm.
return? Yeah. Just to go with the theme of our draft, the halftime show for that Super Bowl was Rihanna.
I remember people really loved that one.
Yeah. So, all right. So, look, I mean, I feel like this game's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a really close game and the Chiefs pull it out, or the Eagles are going to jump on them early and run away with it. Like that's the only two ways I see this happening, because I feel like the Eagles on paper may have the better team. I hate saying that to you, but that just
they have the better roster, but I think the coaching advantage probably goes to Kansas City, right?
And that's why I say if the game is close, if the Chiefs keep it close, then they'll pull it out. Mm-hmm. But if the Eagles just come out and blitz and just figuratively and literally blitz the Chiefs and kind of get up on them, then I think
they're going to need to be playing with a big lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, for sure.
For this to feel safe. The question will be, because I think if you look at the numbers for like Spags' defenses, like in the second half, they basically like choke the life out of you. So he finds something that works, and then he'll just spam it to death until you figure out how to stop it. And so the question is, like, are they able to prevent what other teams in this playoffs have not been able to do, is prevent Saquon from breaking the long run? And you would think with the amount of time that they've given Spags to kind of work on game plans that they'll have something to prevent that.
Yeah.
And so it'll just be a question of execution and personnel there.
Yeah, I think if this comes down to they're gonna make Jalen Hurts win this game. The Chiefs, that is. They're gonna make Jalen Hurts have to play basically like he did in the previous Super Bowl 57. So that'll be interesting to see if Hurts, how Hurts responds to it. Does Saquon go off in this game? I would say a key player to watch on the Eagles defense is Zach Bond.
You would say that.
Well, I mean, look, I hate saying it because Saints just couldn't find playing time for him, Brandon. We just, we couldn't find any playing time, and now he's Defensive Player of the Year finalist. But we'll see how it goes. But I think the reason I bring up Zach Bond is because obviously with the Chiefs, the problem with them on offense is, can you get to Mahomes? And if you get home, can you bring him down? Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the key here. If they can, because you can get him out of the pocket and then he'll beat you with his legs. I just don't know. I don't see the Chiefs running away with this game for sure,
because they haven't really done that all year. Basically,
they haven't done it all year. But But to your point about the coaching, like, are you really going to bet against Andy Reid and Spags in this? You give him 2 weeks, and I mean, look, we talked about Kellen Moore's he's had an interview with the Saints. I know he says, he's said all the right things in the press about he's focused on the Chiefs, focused on getting the Eagles ready, and that's great. But it'll be interesting to see. I did want to go over a couple of prop bets here. I put a little bit down on Eagles half, Chiefs game. So Eagles will be leading at the half, Chiefs win the game at plus 610. I thought that was pretty good number.
That's what happened last time.
Right. Well, and that goes to what we're talking about, right? Like Eagles maybe take the lead, Chiefs kind of hang around, and then pull it out at the end. And then on Prize Picks, this is my Prize Picks that I put together here. So I got a free one, Mahomes more than 0.5 passing yards, so that's a free one. Samaje P. Ryan, the running back for the Chiefs, I took him over a half reception, and Jahan Dotson, I took him over a half reception. We see this in a lot of Super Bowls where like these random backup players who will all of a sudden catch a pass or or do something, and you're like, where they've been all season. So, and then I went with Kareem Hunt over 45.5 rushing yards. Feels like against this Eagles defense, Kareem Hunt's the type of running back the Chiefs are going to need. Pacheco's a little too. He won't get those tough yardage. I think they're going to need Kareem Hunt for those tough yards. And then I just went Jalen Hurts over half a receiving rushing touchdown. So basically,
you're just counting on the tush push, basically.
Yeah, I'm just basically counting on the tush push. So that's my. I did want to. Do you want to go through your?
Yeah, I haven't gotten lines on these yet, so I'll probably join you on the Eagles half Chiefs game line. But the ones that I've kind of like looked into and heard from various podcast sources were the Mahomes over rushing attempts. Last I saw it was 5.5.
Yep.
Chiefs
Remember, a kneel down counts as a rushing attempt.
Counts as a rush. Yep. Chiefs under players to catch a pass at 8.5.
Okay.
This was on a fantasy football podcast I listened to, so I need to go find that.
Hang on. So the total number of Chiefs players to catch a pass
has to be less.
Okay.
Less than 9.
Less than 9. Okay. So all right.
Okay. No safety, which is you're going to lay pretty big odds on that, but it's one that like very rarely cashes. I think I listened to Rufus Peabody, who's like a professional gambler on Bet the Process, and he talks about his Super Bowl props, and he basically what he usually does is he ends up betting on a lot of not to happen things. And so he's like, basically I'm cheering for a very boring game.
Right.
And so
a very straightforward game. Yeah.
So no wackiness or anything going on. Right. So no safety, and then I'll probably take the Hurts over passing yards. I heard this on another podcast that he thinks that they're going to basically try to force Hurts to beat him with the pass instead of trying to let him run around on him, which is kind of what you want to do with Jalen, right? You want him to be the one to try to beat you because you don't want it to be Saquon. You don't want it to be him running the ball. You want to force him to kind of make passes.
So I did.
I may put some on. I think I may also put some just on Chiefs minus 1.5, just so I can feel invested in the
outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did Google just Super Bowl prop bets, and I found a couple of articles. I'll go through here. This one's from Fox Sports. They came out with 10 entertaining prop bets. So here's some entertaining prop bets. First one: national anthem length. Over 121 seconds. So basically 2 minutes, 1 second. 2 minutes and a second. Over 121 seconds at plus 100.
Okay.
Under at minus 130.
Okay.
So kind of almost even odds. By the way, the national anthem this year will be sung by John Baptiste, who is he is the band leader for Stephen Colbert, or for Stephen Colbert's Late Show. He's a New Orleans native, so that's why he's tasked with that performance, I believe. Here's one. Will Taylor Swift be shown during the national anthem? Not the game, during the national anthem.
I would bet no on that one.
So the yes is plus 350. No is minus 500. So
that sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Will the first play be a run or pass? Run is minus 140. Pass is plus 110.
Okay.
So there's that. Number of the first touchdown scorer. The number is 15.5. Over is minus 130. Under is plus 100. So the jersey number of the first touchdown scorer.
What is it again? What are the numbers?
15 and
First
a half.
15 and a half. What's
It's
over?
Over is minus 130.
Okay.
Under
That
is
feels like
plus
that
100.
feels like the move to me, right?
Over?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
because
got the
you
problem
think
is you got Saquon,
Yep.
but the problem is you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith are all unders. Hurts is
I
an
believe
under.
so, yeah.
Hurts
Yep.
is an under. Mahomes is an under.
Pacheco's an under.
Pacheco's an under. Kelsey is an over.
So here are the unders: Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Kenneth Gainwell, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, Isaiah Pacheco, and Patrick Mahomes. So basically, you have to have Kelsey or Goddard, pretty much,
For the over.
for the over.
What's the under line? What's the payout on that?
Plus 100. So
where is this?
I'm reading this off of Fox Sports. I don't know where the action is. I don't know where
I may get in. I may try to get in on that speed act.
Gotta let it ride.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one. Distance of Mahomes' first touchdown pass. The number is 9.5.
Okay.
And it's even odds. It's over is minus 110, under is minus 110.
Okay.
So take that forward.
Don't tell me. You're gambling again, aren't you?
Not now, Newman. Will any 300-pound player score a touchdown?
What's the no on that one?
The no is minus 10,000.
That's about right. That's what I thought.
The yes is 25-1. Or no. Yeah, 25-1.
2,500 plus 2,500?
Plus 2,500, yeah.
Mm.
So you're looking at Chris Jones or Jordan Davis or
that's going to be a no for me there.
Yeah. Here's a little more believable. Saquon Barkley, 150 or more yards. Rushing yards.
Rushing yards.
Rushing yards. Yes is plus 250, no is minus 300.
Okay.
This is an interesting one. This is kind of a parlay, if you will, or not really a parlay, but who will have more on Super Bowl Sunday? Cade Cunningham points or Patrick Mahomes completions? Cade Cunningham, of course, is Detroit Pistons.
Yep. From Oklahoma State, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. So Cade Cunningham points minus 110 or Patrick Mahomes completions minus 110. What's more? I mean, you figure Mahomes is going to have at least 20 completions, right?
Right. So now we have to go look up Cade Cunningham's scoring average.
Yeah, I don't know what it is off the top. I mean, if Cunningham goes for 40, then you're screwed if you put
right.
pick
Yeah.
Mahomes.
Let's see. He is averaging 25.3.
Okay,
year.
so if you go
Who are they playing? Yeah. That's the real question.
That I don't. I think it's Charlotte.
Ooh,
I think they're playing.
I'm going to take I'm going to take Cunningham on that one.
Charlotte, not too good.
Not very good. Let's see. Have they played Charlotte this year?
Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning not walking through the door on Charlotte.
So last time he played Charlotte, he scored 18 points. Let's see if I can just get. Okay, so Charlotte, he has scored 18, 27, 20. Yeah, 18, 27, and 20.
Okay, so.
Oh, man. Maybe I will take the Mahomes on that.
All right. We got two more here from Fox Sports. Will either team trail by 14 points and come back to win?
Okay.
The yes is plus 770. No is minus 2,000. So basically, you're looking for the the Super Bowl 51 28-3 type. Well, maybe not that bad, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs in the last Super Bowl they won over the Eagles were trailed by that 14 and came back to
that's
win.
true. That's true.
So it's not out of
and
the
then
realm of possibility.
and then the last one, this is an oldie but a goodie. What color liquid will be poured on the winning coach? Do you want to guess what the shortest odds are?
Purple.
Yep, purple plus 100. Then it's yellow/green plus 200. Blue is plus 600. Orange is plus 750. Red/pink is plus 1100. And clear/water is plus 1200. So there you go. CBS Sports had some ones too. Let me see if I can find. These are all like game related. There's no like national anthem length or anything like that. Hurts 300 or more passing yards. This is, by the way, these are odds courtesy of DraftKings and FanDuel, according to this article. Hurts 300 or more passing yards plus 710. Xavier Worthy 50 or more first quarter receiving yards plus 950. Either team to kick a walk-off field goal plus 1200.
Ooh, plus 1200. Man, I might get on. That sounds like I might get in on that.
Some sweet action.
That's some sweet action right there.
Jalen Hurts converts the first down of the game.
Okay.
14-1.
So then you're just hoping that they get 9 yards on the first.
Basically,
yeah.
You're hoping Eagles get the ball first. It's 3rd and 1. Tush push.
They shove him. Yeah.
Right. First to 20 yards, Xavier Worthy. That's 30-1. I'm sorry. First to 20 rushing yards, Xavier Worthy is 30-1.
Okay.
Noah Gray, first touchdown scorer. That's 30-1. Here's one for you. Chiefs money line plus Sam Burns winning the Western Management Phoenix Open. This is a golf tournament, by the way, for those not familiar. So this is a parlay, obviously.
We've descended so far into the bowels of degeneracy that there's no climbing back from this one. If you're betting this parlay, call the helpline.
Yeah, we'll put the number in the show notes for you to get some help. This is plus 3680. And this is, by the way, Sam Barnes wins the the Waste Management Phoenix Open without Scotty Scheffler. So I believe this means that Sam Barnes doesn't have to win. He has to come in second, basically. He has to come in second or better.
Oh, okay.
That I saw that one. I was like, okay, this is a whole nother level. Yeah. Samaje P. Ryan scores the last touchdown. That's plus 4,000. That's 40-1. And 2 more. Hurts, Goddard, and Hunt are your stat leaders. So Hurts leads in passing, Goddard leads in receiving, Kareem Hunt leads in rushing. That's 60-1. And finally, Chris Jones, Super Bowl MVP. What do you think the odds of Chris Jones, Super Bowl MVP are?
3,500. No. Yeah, 35-1.
65-1.
I was way off.
Yeah, because, I mean, you got – so when I looked at Rebet on the Super Bowl MVP, it was basically Saquon, Mahomes, and Hurts. They were all kind of in the same ballpark, and then it was like Goddard, or no, it was Kelsey. I think Goddard maybe was in there. I'm gonna look it up real quick while we're chatting here.
Feels like Mahomes.
I guess we should both pick the game here. Chiefs are laying 1.5. Which way are you going, Brandon?
All right, I've tried to curse the Eagles by jinxing them. The jinx hasn't worked. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna pick what I want to cheer for. I'm taking Chiefs minus 1.5.
Okay. So I guess just to make it interesting, I'll take the points with the Eagles. I'll take the 1.5 with the Eagles. I
You know
do
what I
feel
think of that?
like, huh?
You know what I think of that pick?
Well, it sucks.
Thanks, Frank. Could always count on you for support. Let me find these Super Bowl MVP odds here on Rebet. That's not it. Oh yeah, nope, that's not it. Shout out to our friends at Rebet. Fine product they have. Here we go.
Program.
Super Bowl 59, most valuable player, Mahomes plus 110, Barkley plus 250, Hertz plus 300. Do you want to guess who the next highest odds are? The next best odds?
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Do you want to guess what they are?
Ooh, what was the last one that you gave me?
Hertz was plus 300. That's
I'll go plus 500 on Kelce.
How about plus 1,500?
Whoa, that is a big gap.
Then you have Xavier Worthy at plus 2,500, AJ Brown plus 2,800, Kareem Hunt plus 50. So Kareem Hunt 50 to 1, Chris Jones 54 to 1. If you want to get really crazy, let's see how crazy we can get here. How about
get nuts? Let's get nuts.
How about DeAndre Hopkins 200 to 1? Let's do that. How about Kenny Pick? How about this? DeAndre Hopkins is 200 to 1. Kenny Pickett is 150 to 1.
What?
Explain that to me.
It's because he's a quarterback.
Right.
It does, because, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, is 120 to 1 for MVP. Where's my cousin? Where's my cousin on here? Let's see. No respect for my cousin on here. Yeah, Jake Elliott. Here you go.
Have you seen him kicking field goals this year?
Yeah, you make a fair point. 400 to 1 odds for my cousin to win. I believe in you, Jake. I believe in you. Could you imagine, man, if you put like $20 on Jake Elliott to be Super Bowl MVP and it hits at 400 to 1?
I think he retired at that point.
Why pay the mortgage this month when you can pay the house off?
Yeah.
It
there
would.
You
go. I like this idea.
Yeah. I put it on the kicker to win MVP. Brilliant.
I like this idea. The coin toss outcome. Have you ever seen odds for the coin toss be not even?
Yeah, it's like minus. Wait, is it like heads is like minus 110 and
no? So on Rebet they're both minus 106. Heads and tails are both minus 106. But like if you see they're not even, then it's like okay, well
something's going on here.
So yeah, something's fishy. Yeah. But anyway, let's see if there's any other good ones on Rebet here. Which team will have the longest gross punt? Chiefs are plus 110. Eagles are plus 124. A tie is plus 500. For what that's worth. What's another? Oh. Position to score the first Eagles touchdown.
Okay. Running back
plus 160. Quarterback is plus 310. Wide receiver is plus 230.
I think
tight end is
quarterback there.
Tight end is plus 650. Defense is plus 1200. Fullback, I don't even think they have a fullback on their team, is 140 to 1.
I put $5 on the fullback we don't have a fullback on the roster, but that's a call the hotline situation.
Yeah. Please stay tuned for the number after the show there. I don't think I don't here's one. Will there be a successful onside kick recovery? No is minus 50 minus 5,000, excuse me. Yes is plus 1350.
Okay.
So there you go. You were talking about rushing attempts, right, for Mahomes?
Uh-huh.
Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find a number for him. Nope. Oh wait, I'm looking on the wrong thing here. Whoops. Rushing attempts. Nope. Okay. I guess. Oh, I probably have to look at the actual. That's what I got to do. Do. Passing yards, pass completions. Okay, player carries. For Mahomes, 10 or more. This is on Rebet.
Mm-hmm.
10 or more is plus 148. What was the number you said earlier? 6?
5.5.
5.5, so 6 or more. Rebet has 6 or more at minus 177.
Okay.
To get plus money, you got to get into like 9 or more, 10 or more.
That's a lot.
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't that at the beginning of the week, and people have started
steamed it up.
Steamed it up, yeah. Well, anything else we want to talk about the Super Bowl before we? Well, I guess if we want to do a George is getting upset,
I think we can do that.
We could do that real quick.
This is not good. Worlds are colliding. George is getting upset.
So for George is getting upset, I guess I'll go with my pick. I'll go with the Eagles plus 1.5.
And for our Jerry, it's a lock.
Oh, Jerry, it's a lock. Kramer, you've had this thing under control for almost 3 years now.
My lock is I will get very mad if the Eagles win.
Okay.
That's a lot.
I thought you were gonna say like Saquon over 60 yards or whatever, or something crazy like that.
Oh no, my lock is that I'll tell is that the Chiefs will piss off everybody in the known nation by winning this game, except for me.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, look, I got no skin in the game. I just hope we see some good commercials. I'm hoping we get a trailer for Stranger Things, maybe, or
Marvel movie or Superman.
Well, I mean the Fantastic Four trailer released today, so I guess they did that just to get out ahead of it. But I will real quick before we sign off. I do want to share. I know I shared my NFC Championship memories last week. Super Bowl 44. Watching that, my biggest memory of that is by the second quarter, I had enough beer where I wasn't feeling too much, but I remember I didn't watch the halftime show. I was just kind of like, so for those that don't remember that game, the Colts pretty much dominated the first half, so the Saints were just kind of hanging on for dear life a little bit, and then obviously after halftime, they call an onside kick. And I just remember, like, I looked away from the TV just for a second. And then I looked back and I'm like, why are all these guys fighting for the ball? Like, what happened here? Did they fumble the kick? Like, what? And then it was like, no, it was an onside kick. And I'm like, oh, what? and and they got the onside kick. They went down the field, scored, the Saints, that is.
And then you had another beer.
And then I remember when they took the lead, Lance Moore at one point. Shout out to Lance Moore, man, one of the underrated receivers in NFL history. Made this crazy acrobatic catch to get the 2-point conversion, where like he basically caught the ball out with his hands, and then turned over with the ball over the pylon. Basically flipped with it. I mean, it was a crazy play to get the 2-point conversion. And then Colts were coming down to drive. Tracy Porter jumped the route. They were going to run a slant route to Reggie Wayne, and he just jumped it, timed it perfectly. Pick six. And I remember my wife at the time was living we were dating at the time, and she was living downstairs in like a apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never jumped this high in my life before or since. And I'm pretty sure my head hit the ceiling of this apartment. Like it was crazy, man. Like I said last week, I hope every fan gets,
except the Eagles fans,
except the Eagles fan, like, gets the satisfaction of seeing their team. And like I said, I was lucky. I saw the Saints win the Super Bowl in 2009 for the 2009 season. Saw the Mavericks 2 years later win the NBA Finals, 2011.
I saw my football team win a Super Bowl, and I was 9 years old.
There you go. I don't know what's better, if it's better to see, because growing up, the Saints were bad, and so when that Super Bowl year, winning it was pretty special. They tried, and then obviously the Bounty Gate stuff kind of deflated it a little bit, but still, that season was special, man, and it's a shame that the only shame is somebody tweeted this out. I think it was Trevor Sikkema, who hosts the NFL Stock Exchange. He was talking about Drew Brees never winning an MVP, because that's what it was. Somebody put out a graphic of like every team in the last MVP that they had.
Uh-huh.
And Trevor Sikkema, who's a Bucks fan, he said it's crazy to think Drew Brees never won an MVP, and it really is. He won the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 44, but like the 2009 season, he was up against Peyton Manning. The Colts were 15-1 that year, so obviously can't do anything about, or 14-2 or whatever they were. 2011, Brees had probably his best season, but Aaron Rodgers goes 15-1 with the Packers. So it's like, okay, well, can't do that.
Did you speaking of MVPs? Did you hear what Cam Newton said when asked about would he trade his?
Yeah. Cam had a bad week because he said that. He said he wouldn't trade his MVP for a Super Bowl. And then he also had this conspiracy theory about the Cowboys are tanking so they could draft Arch Manning. And who was the coach they were going to hire? Nick Saban?
Yeah. It was it's wild to see somebody get diagnosed with CTE in real time.
Right. Cam, we hope you're well, Cam. That's all I can say.
Buddy. Get help.
Yeah. Cam,
stop it. Get some help.
This just in. We got somebody betting on Jake Elliott for Super Bowl MVP. Turns out it's Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. He was wearing a funny hat.
Yeah. All right. Well, when we reconvene next week, we will have a Super Bowl champion. We may have a three-peat, which, by the way, apparently the NFL struck a deal with Pat Riley to
be able to use that term.
To be able to use that term in the event that it happens.
We can only hope, Paul.
It may just be, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it may just be me next week. Brandon might just quit the show.
I will walk out in front of traffic.
I thought you were just going to stop it. I'm going to walk out, but okay. Well, that's
I told you one of my friends texted me because I had to ask her about something, and so I said, "Hey, I need your help," and she said, "Is it how to cheer for the Eagles next week?" And I said I would rather step in front of a bus. And she said, "Okay, well that was quick."
Yeah. So, and then we'll recap the game. We'll maybe by next week the Saints have a coach. Maybe. I don't know.
If he's not too depressed from losing.
Well, we'll see. But until then, happy football, everybody.
Happy football.